You ready?
Hey, it's in the port for this. Just hook up to your computer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. I use the little box. The Scarlet.
Oh, Focusrite?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next piece of TGD.
Yeah. All right. Smithsonians, welcome back. Smith Francois here, the founder of the Voice program, and I'm here with special guests. Guess what? We're gonna get technical. We're gonna get busy. But before that, just a moment silent for Brother Rogers, your uncle, who passed earlier this year. A good friend of mine that came to Columbus. He just taught me the field of audio to a whole new perspective. And the main thing I remember about it was do stuff for the church, but outside of church, make sure you charge your fee, the proper fee. So yeah, Brother Rogers. Yeah. So yeah, now we're here because of Brother Rogers. Get especially who you are and how you relate to Brother Rogers.
Oh, Roger's my uncle. They call me John Rick, but my name is Rick. I picked up John Rick from a reggae band many, many years ago, and the name just kind of stuck with me. So that's who Roger is with me. It's my uncle.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for coming on. So today let's go through the process. We'll get to know who Brother Rick is, but if you don't know his disclosure, what's going to happen? We're going to show you practical audio tips. How to use a mic. What is a mic? We're going to Brother Rick and see. He was a band. Was he a singer? What? Can you guys guess? Comment below before we get started. Right, Brother Rick, how you doing? How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling all right. Going with it, relaxing and chilling.
All right, cool. So, who are you? Like, where are you from? Like, are you from Columbus?
No, I'm from West Virginia, actually. I moved to Columbus and I want to say right around 1990, 1991.
Okay. Oh shoot, I was born '92.
So I'm still young still.
I guess you can say that. And so you said which Winchester?
Wheeling, West Virginia.
Wheeling, West Virginia. As far as I'm from here.
About 2 hours east of here.
Okay. All right. What's the temperature like? Is it cold, hot? Like, I never been out there.
It's just like it is here.
Okay. So I'm from Chicago originally, and
Oh, it's not like Chicago. I lived in Chicago Heights for about 6 years. It's not like Chicago weather at all.
okay. So you're a traveler.
Yeah.
What other place have you lived?
I lived in Chicago, lived in Virginia, lived in Washington, D.C. I lived in Nova Scotia, Canada for about 6 months.
Shoot. Chocolate City. Is that all right? Before we get, I'm nosy. Sorry. But Chocolate City, I haven't been to Washington D.C. So yeah, tell me about that. How was that experience?
I was pretty young. I was like 18 years old, just out of high school. I talked myself into a job that I don't know how I got. I just talked myself into the job. I looked at a newspaper locally in West Virginia.
Okay.
And I seen this job and it was in Virginia. I didn't realize right away it was outside of Washington, D.C. I just knew it was in Virginia, Alexandria to be exact. So I applied for this job and the guy said, if you can be here Monday morning, you got the job. It was Friday afternoon. So I made the trip on the Greyhound bus and the guy gave me a job. I guess he understood my situation as young as I was. He had a trailer on the property. It was a construction company and told me I could stay there as long as I needed to stay there, and rent was $50 a month. So that was a good thing in Washington, D.C. at the time. So the place I lived was called Alexandria, Virginia, which is about 14, 15 miles south of D.C. I learned pretty quick not to go to D.C. Not a lot going on there at the time.
Okay.
It was the early 80s, mid 80s, and it was just not a lot going on there at the time, so I stayed away.
Okay. $50.
I ran a little camper about the size of Uncle Roger's.
Okay.
And that was it. It sat on the property and that was it. And then I just paid rent there and they paid me like $350 a week to work under construction, and all I did is move stuff around. That was it.
All right. Sweet. So let's talk about how are you? Like, how did you come into the audio field? Like, you're a part of a band. Like, how did that come about?
Well, I got it from my dad. I was about 14 years old. My dad was already in a band. He was doing his thing when I was a young kid, and he took me to one of his shows one time. Can't remember the name of the place. It was in West Virginia. Can't remember the name of the club now. But I sat there and I was amazed because I seen all these guys on stage playing music, but I didn't know how they were making everybody come in together. And my dad was sitting in front of the mixer board. I was sitting behind it, and I helped somebody belt out a bunch of vocals, and it was him singing as well as playing the bass. And from that point on, he had me. Every question I could think of at the time about sound, I asked. I thought he was doing DJing is what I thought it was, but he was mixing a bunch of different people, so it reminded me of an equalizer board. So I went home and started mixing music on my own. At the time, we could only record on tape, on cassette tape at the time. So a little kid.
Yeah, you got to talk about that. Like, hold on. Yeah, that's way beyond me. Like, how do you equalize on cassette tapes? How was that?
Well, you don't. You just record. What we did is you put a little piece of tape over top of the cassette tape and you put it in your little cassette player and you would record the music from the radio. And then there normally you could never catch it when the commercial would come on. So you had to go in and cut the piece of tape.
Right.
And splice it back together with it was called tape.
They actually did that. Wow.
So
was that pause button at the time or no?
There was pause button. I could have paused, but a lot of times when they're playing music, It's about a 3-minute, 12-second loop that they're allowed to play music on the radio. So 3 minutes, 12 seconds, the song is pretty much over and they're in the commercial. So if you weren't timely enough, you had to splice the tape together. So I had songs that would play, and right when the end of the song would hit a commercial, my next song would start playing on cassette tapes. That's what I did early in life.
So age 14 to what? What age?
To about 16.
Okay.
My dad was getting me into a lot of things back then. He got me into going to golfing, a club in West Virginia, and I was a caddy for a couple of years, and that was an interesting experience. I learned how to play golf. Do I do it now? No.
You got to teach me. Like, I took golf class in college, like, but yeah, you got to do that.
I haven't played golf for a long time. I suck at putt-putt. I can putt on a green, I can lead a green, but putt-putt, I can't play putt-putt at all.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So 14 to 16, you're slicing tapes.
Slicing tapes together, so I didn't have commercials in between songs. I was listening to a lot of different music at the time. I didn't find reggae music till I was about 18, 19 years old. I never even heard Bob Marley until I was about 18 or 19 years old, because I lived in West Virginia, and the popular music was either R&B, hip-hop, or country music. That was what's popular in the area. That's what they played on the radio.
So from there, when was the first time you got a chance to go behind a mixer yourself?
I got a chance to go behind the mixer myself when I was about 25, 26 years old with a band called the Ark Band. I introduced myself to Terry Bob. That was the drummer of the band at the time. We had a few things in common. I got him in the amateur radio. We'll talk about that later. That's a whole new story. But I met him on CB radio.
CB, like, wait,
Citizens Band.
Okay.
It's where truck drivers talk.
Okay.
On, Channel 19, basically.
Truck driver talk about what?
Whatever. Just like we sit here talking about whatever, they just talk about whatever. They want road reports on how the conditions of the roads are, whether there's police ahead of them, whether a chicken coop, and the chicken coop is just a weigh station where they have to pull over and get weighed out every time they go by.
So so CB was Waze. You use a Waze map?
No,
okay.
You don't use any map. It's just, I talk to a guy that might be 10 or 15 miles ahead of me, and he can tell me what's happening ahead of me before I get there. And vice versa. If I'm going the opposite direction, I can do the same thing for him, telling him what's going on behind me. 10 or 15 miles behind me, he'll know that there's police officers sitting back there. And, when they get to that area, they see the police officer, hopefully, they slow down and drive on by and no problems.
All right. So, yes, to me, the thing that's technical resemblance to that is the Waze app. So it's like, it tells you when places are ahead, but stuff like that. But like, that's crazy.
The same thing now. You can report that there's a police officer there. Mine in my car will ask me, are they still there? Click on the screen, yes or no, are they still there?
Right.
A lot of times I just say, yeah, because they might come back, they pulled somebody over.
Sorry, I took you off track. You did CB but you was a band.
Right, I met with Terry Bob, who was a drummer for a band called the Ark Band. They're a reggae band. I ran into Terry somewhere around the neighborhood of 1993. 94 or so, and he used to always invite me to come and see his band play. I just never showed any interest. Okay, I'll come down. I just never went. One day I went and we talked, and he asked me what I thought of the show. I said, well, I think the bass player was playing the wrong bass line for that one song, whatever it was. And he commented that it might have been the wrong bass line, but it goes together with what they were doing, because it kind of led into the next song. So I started talking to him, and I started going to see shows. I started out as a drum tech for him. Basically a roadie who set up the drums and would probably do a sound check in a small show where he's kind of busy, and I'd do a sound check real quick for him on the drums. I'm not a drummer.
Okay.
Just to hit the snare, hi-hat, toms, and do a sound check.
Okay.
Basically. And then one day we were talking, I said, man, everywhere we go, I'm here, and I have to tell the sound man what I like to hear. Why don't we buy our own PA? It's a large rental. You can rent a PA everywhere you go. So we bought a PA, which is your whole sound system, microphones and stands and their speakers and everything that goes to make a live band sound like you're listening to the radio. So we bought it, and I started taking over doing sound from that point on, and that was in about 97. I stayed with the band till about 2009, and I left the band trying to do my own thing.
Okay. All right. So you're a drum guy. So do you sing?
No.
Do you make music?
I make music.
Okay. So how do you learn to make music? Was that where you stick taping?
Well, no. I learned to make music by listening to a live band play, because everybody has their piece, as you know, on a mixer board. Okay. Everybody has their piece on the mixer board. It looks like an equalizer to me.
Okay.
Just here's my bass player. Which is my bass on the equalizer. Here is this, so on and so forth.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So on part 2, we'll go more in depth about the equipment that's here. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. So you're just talking about Rick's background, but hey, part 2, we'll dive deep. What is an equalizer? What? let's give like, some suggestion. Like, what is equalize? Like, people just want to do podcasts right now. What's the point of vocals? Like, why does it matter?
Everybody's voice sounds different. Everybody has a different nuance to their voice. So you want to equalize that out to where you can hear the whole, all the fidelity in somebody's voice, where you have a 5-band equalizer, for instance. Over here on the right-hand side are all your high ends, and on the left-hand side are all your low ends. So if somebody's talking, they sound kind of high-endy, you just want to add a little bit of low end to their vocals. That's basically what an equalizer does.
So you're telling me nobody's voice is perfect, so we need to adjust it.
Yeah, and it really depends on a microphone. I'll give you an example. Like this microphone here is a Shure 58. It's like 1500 or 50 hertz to about 15,000 hertz. Vocal range falls in the middle of that somewhere. So you have it sounds kind of plain, so you have to equalize it, or it sounds like somebody standing there with their hand over the microphone like that.
Okay.
So it doesn't sound crystal.
Okay.
So you want to equalize it so it sounds as crystal and natural as a voice can be.
All right. Awesome. Good information. So we'll go back, dive. So part 2, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, but like more about your background. Like, what is the highs and lows of working with a band? Like, I want to hear some stories about your work.
Being on the road, it's rough. When you're like with the Ark Band, they travel most of the year long. They take the winter time off, but they're traveling like 4 days a week.
The Ark Band meaning?
The Ark, like ARK.
Okay.
The Ark Band. It's a reggae band. They travel all over the country. They've been to Canada to Jamaica, from New York to California, for instance. So that's traveling. That's a hard thing. You meet all kind of strange people. You meet all kind of good people. More strange people that come up and ask a lot of questions. I've had people walk up and ask me about my dreadlocks. Strangest question I've ever heard.
Talk about strange. How long have you had dreads?
19 years.
Okay.
So this is actually the second time I cut my hair back in, 2015, 2014. I cut my hair all off. It was just getting too heavy and it was in the way a lot. So I cut it off. I'd been so used to having dreadlocks that when I cut them off and my hair started growing back in, I didn't know what to do with it. One day I had a little nook and cranny in the back. Next thing I know, I had dreadlocks. So I just went back to the whole dreadlocks thing.
All right. Awesome. So before we end this first half, like, how do people contact you? Like, how do people get information to do? What service do you provide? First of all, what service do you provide? Yes. Right now, like you do sound like for.
Well, I do sound engineering for live bands. I can have a band come in. I'm set up to have a whole band come in, and unfortunate be in the garage, but I can have a whole band in the house and record sessions for a band. I can go on the road live with a band up to 7 pieces, or in this case, about 14 channels on a mixer board. And not into DJing so much. I do have a couple of guys that do DJ, but it's not my forte to DJ because I did that when I was 14, 15 years old, trying to be a DJ, and I realized I don't have what it takes to be a DJ. I can't count to 4. And that's just a funny joke in music. You got to be able to count to at least 4.
Okay. All right. Awesome. How do people reach out to you?
Well, you can catch me on Facebook under Rick Wise. It's JAHRIC Wise, WISE. I'm on Facebook. I have business cards as well. I can leave a couple here with Smith. And right now, it's about the only way I got. I don't have Instagram or anything like that currently. It's working on getting all that stuff set up for the next year.
Awesome. So part 1, guys, we're going to dive more deep into the equipment. So, hey, hopefully to see you. But we are located in Columbus, Ohio. That's where Brother Rogers used to work. He's thinking about sound engineer, they travel everywhere, but they're primary focus. So what's your focus? Columbus, Ohio? You travel like?
I can travel with a band anywhere. I have my own trailer. I have my own truck to carry my equipment with me and everything like that. All they got to do is bring their instruments and have a show.
You heard it. So don't forget to book with Rick, and your phone number?
614-625-5073.
All right. Awesome.